When it was our turn to enter the exhibit, I was most anxious to get my identification card, and I received one, but unfortunately, it was like midway through the museum and I lost it. So I decided to focus on the tower of pictures that was full of the family members and the friendships and everything that consisted of ordinary life in Germany before the Holocaust. And this just struck me because they were filled with just regular families and they had suitcases. They were looked like they were traveling, they were happy, and it started from the top floor was the first time that I saw all of these pictures. So as the museum went down, they continued to reference the tower, and by the bottom of the museum, you could see once again how after all of this had affected them, it was still ordinary people, and I just thought that was striking for me. Um, I also remember Daniel from the beginning of the exhibit when we went to the kids part of it, but I was just trying to keep in mind how the children were affected by the Holocaust. And I know in class we talked about the children, but I think we focused more on the non Jewish children and how, they followed Hitler, and we didn't focus as much on the Jewish children. So I thought that these personalities connected to two of our symbols, the first being the League of German Girls, and this was the picture when the girls, I think, were holding the strollers with the babies in them, and they were non Jewish girls, but it just was showing a different side of the children and how these children were treated much better than the Jewish children. And it also represented the new normalcy and how life for them was normal, unlike the Jewish children. I also focused on the symbol, the waving flags, and um, this just reminded me how all of these children, once again, were living a normal life, but on the better side of the situation rather than the children who were being sent away to the death camps and having to be separated from their parents and their other family members, taken away and either immediately killed or taken to work camps. Um, the class, I think, was very successful in teaching me about the Holocaust because before I only knew, when I thought of Holocaust, I would think of German death camps and extermination, and that was all. Like, I only thought about the deaths. But now that I've learned so much more about it, and I've learned actually why it came about, and um, the top floor made it evident that there were several factors that came into play, considering the top floor might have taken me the most time because I wanted to read all of the things and I wanted it to confirm the knowledge that I had already known about it that we had learned in class. And some of the panels included things like it explained in the beginning like the Ally forces and all of the war in the first place. And I think that was one of the first things we learned. And um, there was Crystal Knight in there. There was the picture of Stalingrad shaking Hitler's hand. Um, I also enjoyed how all of our symbols connected to the museum because most of our pictures that we learned about were in the museum itself. So I thought that was cool. But what was the Holocaust? I mean, it's hard to explain because I feel like there's so many things that come into play, like I said before. But overall, I mean, I just consider the Holocaust an entire nation just ousting another group of people, like the Germans ousted the Jewish people, and um, making it normal for a group of people to think it's okay for a mass murder to occur. Um, how did the Holocaust change the world? It forced us to deal with displaced persons. Even today, I mean, people come in. We have refugee camps. We even have one in Louisville. It forced us to create new laws and how we would deal with displaced persons once again. Um, it gave us signs to watch out for, to know that genocide is occurring, like the one in I forget the name of it, but um, wherever it was occurring recently. But and it also forced us to deal with the situation. We couldn't just put it aside. It wasn't like the situation was going to disappear. It's always going to be a part of our history, and um, it's our turn, I think, to continue to pass this information along with our generations to come. Um, I think that one question that remains for me, and I know it probably can't be answered, but it's just hard for me to understand how an entire nation could be accepting of such a mass murder like the Holocaust, and how Hitler could have enforced new normal laws to make it okay, and it just does not make sense in my mind. And I know that he created new laws that created the new normalcy and everything like that, but it's just like murder is murder no matter what, and it just was hard for me to understand how people could think that any kind of killing was okay. Lastly, I thought the class as a whole was one of my favorite classes I've ever taken, even though I'm not doing so well and I'm probably going to have to take the exam. But um, the Holocaust has always been something I've been interested in, and it's been hard for me to learn about it because, I've always just thought about concentration camps and that kind of thing. But now I actually learned about the things that caused it, and that was very interesting for me. The museum, I was impressed with it, but I wasn't as moved as I thought I would be. I think it was because I had already known all of the information. I thought I would go in there and learn so much about the Holocaust, but our class had already done an amazing job of teaching about it. So, I mean, the first floor wasn't even that interesting to me just because I knew all of that information already. But I did find the part about the um, the people who were medically experimented on, and there was like the box with the TV showing pictures of all the people who were decapitated and everything like that. I thought that was interesting. I mean, it was sad, but I didn't really know much about that. I also liked the white crematorium kind of thing, like the miniature, how it showed how it all happened. But overall, I really liked the class, and I will definitely recommend it to younger classmen. And thank you, Mr. Jones. You did a very good job this year.